Hello, I am Daniel, and this will be my second video for Impact Teaching on YouTube. And if you saw my first video, you'll know that I like to film somewhere that captures what Thailand is really like. I didn't want to film inside my apartment or at a temple. You've seen way too many temples, I'm sure, if you are planning on coming to Thailand. So I like to go out in the countryside. It's nearly sunset, so it will start looking really nice by the end of the video, I hope. So for this video, I wanted to talk about some tips that I have for TEFL teachers coming to Thailand. There's three main tips that I have for people who are coming to Thailand as a TEFL teacher. And the first tip I have is to do with your general attitude towards teaching, and lower your standards, lower your expectations, and your expectations of standards, I should say. You won't have these. I know in my country we have the OCR and different grading exam boards that will put out nationwide exams, and schools have to follow those exams, so they will teach according to them. Here it's completely different. You make the exam. So for instance, I've just written my midterm exams and I will test them on the stuff which I've already taught them. But to start off with, I was expecting so much more, which I shouldn't have done really, but I was expecting these extensive curriculum and to see what previous teachers had covered, to see what they wanted me to achieve by the end of the year. And there's pros and cons to how Thailand does it. The pros being that you have complete freedom. You can teach them what you really wanted to teach. And if you disagreed with something that was in the curriculum, you can tweak it a little bit and you can change it. Obviously there's many cons. Sometimes you feel lost with what you're teaching. And this is where your attitude comes in. You need to just relax about the whole thing, pretty much. Have particular things in mind that you will want to teach, and just slowly go through them. Even if you get towards the end of the year and you've missed out on a particular topic, it doesn't matter. As long as your students are achieving something, and as long as your students are learning from you, there's no problems at all. So my second tip is to do with how you treat your students. In my experience, if you are friends with the students first, then they will respect you a lot more. Don't go into the lesson straight away teaching and giving them homework and doing this, doing that. Start off with just ease into it, Sorry, I feel like there's a dog maybe. Hello, little buddy. Hello. Hello. There you go. This is the rustic experience of Thailand. There we go. And he's gone. So the second, this is what Thailand's really like. Second tip, it's how you treat your students. So I know of some teachers who have come out here in the past and they didn't start teaching straight away, but they already had on this teacher persona. So the students instantly saw them as this authority figure, which in Thailand is typical. The teachers have this authority figure and they will be above the students. But I found that if you treat them more like friends and bring in a little bit of the Western kind of teacher, which isn't so they're not way above the students. They're still respected, but they can be a little bit more jokey with the students. So that's what I've done. So for instance, in one of my classes, every few lessons, every other lesson, I ask one of the students for a song off Spotify, and it can be a Thai song, something specific to Isan, which is northeast Thailand, which is where I am. It can be a Western song, anything, just something that they're into. They'll type it in. I've got a Thai keyboard, so they can type in the Thai songs as well. and I'll save it to a playlist, and then at the end of the year when they're going to revise, I'll go through some of their playlist. One time they showed me a song, one of them was embarrassed to show me, but their friends were sort of telling them, no, type it in, it'll be funny. So she did, and then we just had a big laugh about the song, and I was playing it a few times and just made them laugh. But then at the same time, yes, they're laughing with you, but then when a friendly teacher tells you to, look, now's the time to behave, you need to listen, they do, So I think it's about finding that compromise. It's keeping the students engaged because they're friends with you, and keeping a little bit of an authority figure so that they do respect you, But I found that it even makes the boring lessons fun because they're listening to you, and you can play on the fact that it's a boring lesson, So that's my second. First one, attitude, change your attitude towards teaching. Second, treat your students a little bit differently. Third is how you cope with stress, which is the main thing. That's the main shebang. So you have to be like a Thai person, take every day as it comes. Don't be thinking too much of the future. Don't be thinking, how am I going to cope with this thing that's happening next semester? Or I'm worried about next semester because this semester went so bad. Maybe the language barrier really gets in the way of one of your lessons. That's something that's happened to me. And some people might freak out here. They might start stressing out. That's when you start making stupid decisions. The time that I've been here, I've been coping with the stress quite well, I hope. And there's been times when there is just such a big language barrier and one of the lessons has just halted still. There's a crucial word that I need them to understand and it's just not happening. And instead of panicking and looking flustered, pacing around the classroom, wondering how I'm going to progress with the lesson, I just start improvising. I tried to use Google Translate as a backup tool, as like a last resort. Even that wasn't translating well with the students. I then started to try sort of like a charades kind of thing. I was then playing on it. The lesson didn't actually progress much further after that. But I learned something from the lesson because I learned what works in emergencies, what doesn't work in emergencies, and how I can try to teach them something which is really hard to teach, Eventually I managed to break through and I translate, they translate, and then we'd meet in the middle somewhere. It was very difficult, but we got there in the end. But many people might start stressing out there and they would start getting really worried, and I kept my calm. I kept calm, and when the students didn't understand and maybe they started going a little bit red-faced because they feel like they should understand, and they started getting a little bit stressed out, they would get more stressed out when they see you like that and you getting agitated because they don't understand. So it's important not to do that, and you reflect your calm attitude onto them. That's one of the crucial things, I think. So those are the three main things for me. But like my previous video, I'm in a very nice place. So we're back in a beautiful spot again. And here we are this time. The third point about keeping stress-free, this is how you do it. Go out, get some fresh air, look at the beautiful sunset, see if you can focus on the sunset. There we go. That's nice. And if I was to add a small fourth tip, meditate. Meditate. It helps a lot. 3 main tips for you all. 3 main tips. Just change your attitude towards teaching. Be friendly with the students first, then be a teacher. And third, live stress-free and look at the sunset.